Hey everyone, I'm Andrea Shermansky with Santa Fe Painting Workshops, and today I'm going to tell you about my 5 favorite acrylic painting mediums. First of all, what is an acrylic painting medium? A medium is a clear paint that has a variety of sheens, textures, and thicknesses. There are a couple here on this board that I'd like to show you, and you can see that some of these are thick and some have different textures on them, and you can see these mediums are really thin. So today what I want to do is show you how to use them in your artwork and also how I've used them in my own paintings. So I have my 5 favorite painting mediums right here. And again, these mediums are clear, they have different textures and different sheens, and they can be mixed with acrylic paint, or they can be placed on the canvas by themselves. Let's look at first what we need. So you need a palette knife to mix the paint in with the medium, and you obviously need some paint. So I'm using Blick's Studio Acrylics here, and a paintbrush is also obviously a good thing to have. So the first one I'll show you is what I call the everything of acrylic mediums. So this is Golden's acrylic glazing liquid, and this acts as a glue, it acts as a paint extender, which means that you can add this to your acrylic paints and it'll extend the paint to get more paint out of it without reducing the pigment quality. You can also create glazes with this, hence the name glazing liquid. You can put a lot of medium, just a little bit of pigment, and then paint that, and then you get a really nice transparent or translucent color, as opposed to maybe something that's more opaque. As a general rule, do about half medium to half paint, but of course if you're doing a glaze, you're going to do more medium and less pigment. It comes in gloss and satin, so I'm using the satin right now. I have about half and half or so, and I'll just get my palette knife here and mix these together. And what I'll also do is paint right next to it so you can see what it looks like without any medium inside. Let's just do the color by itself right here so you get a sense of what that looks like. So a nice sort of opaque-ish color. And then let's go ahead and use it with the medium. Again, this is half and half. So it's very hard to see, but it's a little bit more thin. And what we'll do now is let's add more medium. And watch this, I'll just take a little bit of this mix. I already have some medium and paint in there, and I'll mix this in. Here we should get an even more translucent look. I'm gonna wash my brush beforehand so I don't have too much pigment on there. And you can see that it's getting thinner. So you can see here the paint color on its own is pretty opaque, and then it gets less and less, or more and more translucent as it goes down. Let's do one more run here. So a little bit more glazing medium in there. So this is going to be more of a true glaze. And if you want a true glaze, definitely make sure your brush is nice and clean so that you don't have any residual pigment on there. So there you go, this is acrylic glazing medium, and you can see as it gets more translucent as we go. What this also does is it actually protects the paint. And so if you're using like a cheap paint that might wipe off, some wipe off when they're dry, if you mix this in with it, it will actually protect the paint and keep it from coming off. Also, what this does, you can do it in between layers if you just want to like kind of create a little bit of interference layers. There are a lot of different ways to use the golden glazing liquid. So let's go ahead and look at our next medium now. The next one is acrylic flow release. This is now called wetting agent. So I got this a few years ago. It'll last forever because you actually only put 1 to 10, so 1 part of the wetting agent and 10 parts of water. So mine ends up staying forever. What you do is you just get another bottle and you put water in there, and then you put a little bit of this inside. The purpose of this is it acts like water, so it waters down paint, but you're not going to lose your pigment concentration as much because it has chemicals in there that sort of keep those pigments rich. And my bottles are very well used. So this is my flow release bottle. This is 1 part of the flow release or the wetting agent, and then 10 parts water. We don't need a whole lot of paint in this, and I'm going to add it right in there. And you can see that it's getting a bit watery now. So here is, it kind of acts as a watercolor. What I want to do also is put a little bit of water here right next to it. So I'm going to add water to this paint here, not the flow release, and that way we'll just see the difference between the two in terms of like what it looks like. We probably won't be able to tell the difference until it's dry, but I have to make sure I'm getting the same concentration of water here. So this here now is just water. And you can already see, I'll add a little bit more pigment. You can already see how that color is a little bit lighter. It's not holding up as well, right? And so when it's dry, we'll get a better sense of what that looks like. Next medium here, let's go to Golden's High Solid Gel. Okay, so this is a very thick gel medium that holds its peaks really well. And so it's really good for if you want to bring a focal point to something in your piece, you want to build something that's like has a slight three-dimensionality to it. By the way, always use a clean palette knife when you're taking out your mediums. You don't want to get any pigment in there because then it messes up your mixes. So I always use a palette knife just for the mediums. Obviously, the more medium do, the thicker it'll be. Less medium, less peaks, less thick. Look at that. It's very thick, okay? And so watch when I apply this. When I have a medium like this, I apply with a palette knife because a brush, it would kind of just get lost in there. So look and see, this kind of reminds me, if you know William T. Bow's work, he does the cakes and the icings and the cupcakes and from, I believe, the 1960s, and he does really thick paint. And you can see the, the textures, and look how thick that is compared to everything else on there. Really beautiful to create some focal point and to have a nice thick texture in your painting. Let's do our ceramic stucco next. So this is basically gives a stucco look. I found that you could also use sand to create the effect here, but I just love it so much, and I don't use a ton of it in my work. I just use it in certain parts. It's the same rule as the other ones. We're just gonna mix about half and half or so. Here is our stucco medium, and I'll just go ahead and mix that. Oh, by the way, when you mix these, they're gonna look a little bit lighter, okay? This dries clear. So it looks light right now, but it's gonna dry to the original blue, okay, color. So it'll dry a little bit darker. And then let's see, so right there, and then check it out. You can kind of hear the granules there as you paint it on. So that's the stucco. Really cool. I love this stuff so much. I just always have this on hand. Last one is the glass beads. This one is really cool too. It's beads, right? So yeah, you can go buy your own beads and stick them in your acrylic paint. Absolutely. It's consistent sized granules. So if that is something of interest to you, then you might want to just get the medium. But if not, yes, you can just get some small beads and throw them in your acrylic paint. Acrylic dries as a plastic, so you can embed things in there. Same thing, we're gonna mix the glass beads in there. I'll make sure to bring it up so you can see it better. You can hear the crunchiness of this medium. And I use this one often, like this would be something I would do at the end of a painting. I'm trying to bring some focal point, or I'm trying to really, just kind of emphasize something. And they look really, really cool in the end. Here we go. You have 5 different amazing painting mediums. But I encourage you to try these out. They're lots of fun, and let me know if you have any questions. In this painting, which I call Serenity, I used mediums right in the middle there in that navy dark blue. So let me just zoom in here and I'll show you. So in this one, I built this mountain to be kind of 3D, so it sticks out. And so I used a medium-bodied gel, so not the heavy body, and then I used the stucco on top as well after it dried. So it just gives a little bit of texture and contrast. You don't want the whole painting to be really thin paint, or do you want the painting to be all totally textured? Contrast is nice. You can see in the middle there around my focal point area, it's textured, and then the rest of it's pretty smooth. In this painting called Iron Oxide, I used a few different painting mediums as well, and the gold there is gold leaf, if you're wondering. So you can see in this part, which is in one of my focal point areas, I have some of the glass beads and the stucco. And then down here, you can see that I have some thicker medium here that you can see the ridges from. And stucco here, there's a few beads in here as well. And then over on this side as well, there's some glass beads and I think mostly glass beads over here. Most of the painting is pretty flat and smooth, but there are a few areas that help to bring emphasis to the focal point with the medium. If you'd like to learn more about color and composition, check out my course, Abstraction Beyond Boundaries. In the online pre-recorded course, I show you how to mix colors like a pro, teach you 6 eye-catching composition types, and provide you with many techniques and tools to make your abstract painting stand out. Through slides on art vocabulary and multiple demonstration videos, you will be armed with all the resources you need to make abstract painting flow easily. To learn more about the course, click on the link below in the description.